So how do we actually quantify what it means to sleep badly? What do sleep researchers actually look at when analyzing specific disorders, such as insomnia? Well, there are 4 main metrics that researchers use, and we'll be taking a look at each one of them in turn. Clinical researchers will attempt to use each of these 4 metrics both before and after a treatment and look at the difference between them to assess whether a treatment is effective or not. So let's look at the 4 metrics. The first metric is what we call sleep onset latency, or SOL for short. If you have prolonged sleep onset latency, it means that you take a long time to get to sleep. This is where you lie down in bed, turn off the lights, and wait to fall asleep. Ideally, you'll fall asleep within a few seconds, or maybe a minute or two. But we've all had those times when we just can't fall asleep, and we spend hours and hours staring at the ceiling. This would be called having a high sleep onset latency. The next metric is called wake after sleep onset. Excessive WASO means you're waking up many times during the course of the night. There could be many reasons for this. You could have a full bladder and you need to go relieve yourself. Or you could have sleep apnea, which means that you can't breathe and your body has to wake itself up. Or your body could simply be unable to enter a deep state of sleep and is therefore easily awakened even by small outside stimuli. The third category of the 4 is called total sleep time, or TST. It's exactly the way it sounds. You take all the time you slept, or all the chunks of time you slept, you add them up, and that's your total sleep time. Researchers might then take this time and compare it to the recommended time of 7 to 8 hours a night. The fourth and final metric is called sleep efficiency, or SE for short. Sleep efficiency is typically defined as the ratio of TST, or total sleep time, to TIB, or time in bed. If you have a low sleep efficiency, it means that only a small proportion of the time you spend in bed is actually spent sleeping. On the other hand, if you have 100% sleep efficiency, it basically means you lie down in bed, you fall asleep instantaneously, and you remain asleep the entire night until you get up in the morning. Now, what exactly do we mean by time in bed? If that seems obvious to you, then consider the following scenarios. What if a person spends some time in the evening literally lying in bed, but doing non-sleep related activities, such as reading, talking on the phone, or watching TV? Should that be included in time in bed? Or what happens if you wake up in the middle of the night and you spend a chunk of time outside of bed? Should that be included? Technically, you're not really in bed, but you are trying to get to sleep. So you might think, well, who cares? But it's really important we get these definitions correct, because ultimately it's the volunteers and not the researchers who are measuring these things during the night. And if the volunteers don't understand clearly what they need to measure, all the research will become useless. Unfortunately, there is no widely accepted standard for how time in bed should be measured. Some researchers suggest using a more focused metric called DSE, or duration of the sleep episode. The exact definition is made up of 4 components, but ultimately it boils down to the total time you actually spend sleeping or trying to get to sleep. So therefore it would exclude activities such as reading or watching television. So that wraps up the 4 metrics that sleep researchers use when measuring the effectiveness of different sleep treatments: sleep onset latency, wake after sleep onset, total sleep time, and sleep efficiency. I hope you found this useful. Our mission at Orthenius.com is to help people get the best, most rejuvenating night's sleep possible so that they can live their lives to the fullest. See you next time. Bye for now.